While you might think that Blue Eyes White Dragon is the definitive multi-headed monster in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, it actually gets beaten out by 2 more heads in 5-headed dragon. Yeah, these guys don't really do much anyway, but at least FGD looks really cool. One of the few monsters in the game with a whopping 5,000 attack and defense, 5-headed dragon made its debut in the Dinosaur's Rage special set. Well, of course it actually released in a different set in the OCG, but in the English TCG, that's where we got it. I actually did see this product at some far out Walmart not too long ago and decided to buy it, and by not too long ago I mean like a few years ago. That's probably the coolest random Yu-Gi-Oh find I've gotten. It's basically just the Dinosaur's Rage structure deck plus a pack of Power of the Duelist and the 5-headed dragon promo card. Sadly, the video of me opening it up is long gone. But hey, this is a pretty neat monster, though I prefer the newer art from Battles of Legend, where we can actually see the monster more clearly, because now it's more obvious that each head represents one of 5 attributes: fire, water, wind, dark, and earth. That explains why the effect is that it can only be destroyed by battle with a monster of a different attribute than one of those, basically just light or divine, which are some of the only attributes that would be able to reach over 5,000 attack points anyway, so it isn't really that useful of an effect. I think 5-headed dragon is a lot cooler from a lore standpoint anyway. It's likely inspired by Tiamat's portrayal in Dungeons & Dragons. Basically, there really aren't any other big dragons with 5 heads specifically before this, though it could just be the Hydra in general that served as an inspiration. There's a whole giant battle in the anime with a bunch of other dragons, though the whole point of it is kinda meant to be defeated by Dragon Master Knight, which actually has a decent enough effect to gain even more attack, and look at that, it's even light attribute. So I guess I'm gonna have to rescind my statement from earlier. Dragon Master Knight is actually the ultimate monster. At least the required fusion material is pretty generous. I mean, it only needs any 5 dragons, though there's usually a lot more you can do with 5 dragons than just summoning a big beat stick. It usually isn't always worth the investment and time to summon one, especially because it doesn't even have a very helpful effect. But I mean, if you're playing casual Yu-Gi-Oh, then I guess a late game Dragon's Mirror would be pretty neat to summon this thing out. That doesn't mean the monster was completely useless, however. No, this monster was integral to Chaos Dragon decks. The reason being that a card named Future Fusion exists. Before this card was errata, the effect allows you to reveal a fusion monster in your extra deck, and then send the fusion materials from your deck to the graveyard and summon the fusion monster 2 turns later. While this might sound like a very slow card, the purpose was solely to use 5-headed dragon to send 5 whole dragons from your deck to the graveyard. In a deck like Chaos Dragons, that's exactly what you want. Sending up cards like Eclipse Wyvern, Light Pulsar Dragon, and Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon in a single turn basically for free is absolutely amazing. All of these monsters either trigger effects when sent to the graveyard, can revive themselves from the graveyard, or get revived by other cards. Not to mention serving for a fuel to banish for whatever Chaos Dragons you do draw. And that's one of the many reasons Future Fusion had to be banned and later given an errata to make it work in the future like it was meant to. More recently, we did get a retrain of this monster in 5-headed Link Dragon. Obviously a Link 5 monster that requires 5 monsters as material. The artwork looks like it's basically just the original with some different wings and the Link markers attached to each head. It has a bonus effect that you can destroy all cards your opponent controls if you summon it using 1 monster of each matching attribute: Dark, Earth, Water, Fire, and Wind. While sort of powerful, that one's just optional. The base effect you'll get regardless, in addition to the original that it can only be destroyed by light and divine monsters in battle, is that it's also unaffected by other card effects. Finally, something good. It does also have a maintenance cost of needing to banish 5 cards from your graveyard face down during your opponent's end phase, otherwise it gets sent to the graveyard. On one hand, the actual monster itself is a bit more useful than the original given that it has some built-in protection, but being a Link monster, that means you need the materials to be face up on the field already, and even though it's a Link 5, it still requires 5 monsters, no ifs, ands, or buts. In decks made to Link summon, you'd rather just link up into monsters like Access Code Talker or the White Woman Jump Scare Underworld Goddess, which can even use one of your opponent's monsters as material. I mean, it's totally possible to summon 5-headed Link Dragon, but I just don't think it's worth the investment. Though in concept, I think it's really neat that this monster actually exists, and it's so cool that they did some sort of retrain of 5-headed dragon in this way. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but there is actually a Funko Pop of 5-headed dragon, and I think it looks really cool. I kind of want to get it. There's just something about seeing every head all together in a physical form that's really neat. And it's a little more affordable than like a big ol' regular anime figure, which would still be super awesome. How playable this card is really doesn't matter, because it's still this cool and iconic monster that totally deserves the 5,000 attack points that it wields. It'll always be one of my favorite cards that I own just because it's a big dragon and that is just awesome. So let me know what you think about 5-headed dragon in the comments below. Anyway, this is GatorX, thank you so much for watching and I'll catch you all later.